Welcome back to the Pitch Pod. I'm your host, Jeff Stebbins. And if you missed it the other evening at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., the FIFA World Cup draw happened. If you're unfamiliar with that process, it is how they choose the group stages for the upcoming World Cup 26. And it's kind of interesting how it broke down and who's going to be playing who in the group stage. And so I'm going to go ahead and run through the groups and then point out some of these top seeds that I think we can expect to move on into further rounds of the tournament. Starting with Group A, we have Mexico, South Africa, and South Korea at this point. Mexico appears to be the top seed there. Group B, Canada, Qatar, Switzerland, and we're still waiting for another team to join Group B as well. Canada is a solid team. They really are. Whether it's the Roadrunner or Jonathan Davies up front, they're solid. They're always a potential threat to move on. Switzerland, you can never count them out. The team in Group B that I think you can kind of more or less, count as one of the teams not making it past the group stages is Qatar. I just don't see that happening. Group C, Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, Scotland. Brazil, they, of course, historically have been very dominant, but I think this year in some years recently, they're not quite the same powerhouse that they once were, but in Group C, they have a good chance of moving on. I would be pretty darn surprised if we saw Scotland moving forward. If we saw Haiti moving forward, I'd be pretty surprised. Out of Group C, I gotta imagine that's going to be Brazil and Morocco moving on. But we'll just, have to see how things shake up, and it depends who shows up on the given day. But Group C is looking good for Brazil and Morocco at this point. Group D, that is a group of Team USA, Paraguay, Australia, and we're waiting for another team to be finalized for that group. Honestly, I think Team USA lucks out being in Group D. Yes, Paraguay is going to be a competitor, but depending on who is the remaining team to join, I think that this is maybe one of the easier groups that we're looking at here throughout this World Cup. Group E, Germany, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Ecuador. I think this is a tough one. I think Ivory Coast, Ecuador, Germany, all those teams are really good. Yes, Germany is the top seed of the tournament, but man, that would be a tough one to be in. Group E is looking really competitive. Group F so far, Netherlands, Japan, Tunisia. Of course, Netherlands is probably the favorite in that group. Still waiting for the fourth to join that one. Group G, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, New Zealand. Group H, Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. This is going to be an interesting one. Not because it's overly competitive, but because it's a mixtures of different styles of play, and you have some veterans that are going to be on these teams. So I think this is going to be a fun one to watch. Again, maybe not one of the most competitive, but I'm interested in seeing how Spain and Uruguay look, as they always have star players in their lineups. Even though some of them for Uruguay are definitely getting older and more of a veteran status that serve more in the capacity of team leaders than starting players. Group I, France, Senegal, Norway. You got to imagine France is one of the favorites here with their strong showing in the previous World Cup when they made it to the final against Argentina. And France of course, is loaded up with talent. Mbappe, you name it. They won't have Giroud in this upcoming World Cup as he is aged out. I'm interested in seeing what they do for their goalkeeper in the last World Cup. It was Hugo Lloris. I don't know what they're going to do for this one, as he is also getting older and is now playing in the MLS. So we'll see. But I do think France is going to definitely come out and be ready when it's time. Group J. This one's going to get a lot of attention, obviously. Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Yeah, Argentina is going to be the favorites there by quite a bit. Um, Martinez, Leo Martinez, that is the Inter Milan player, dangerous. Martinez, a goalkeeper, also very, very talented player. The story there is going to be messy. Obviously, we haven't had confirmation yet at this point on whether or not he is going to be playing in the World Cup. You have to imagine he is. He's 38 years old. This is his last chance to do it. So I have a feeling he's going to confirm. But it's going to be hard to top what he did in the last one. So we'll have to wait to get that confirmation. But I got to imagine he's going to play in this one, being that it's going to be taking place in the United States, among other countries. Group K, Portugal, Uzbekistan, Colombia. Portugal is coming into this with a high ranking. At this point, I think people have them moving forward in Group K, and they're the favorites of moving forward. Of course, they have really a variety of talented players. Again, the storyline there, veteran player still hanging on. We'll see how he plays, how his contributions are in Cristiano Ronaldo. But regardless of his status, Portugal is favored to move on here. But I wouldn't count Colombia out, and we're still waiting for the fourth pick there to join that group. Group L, England, Croatia, Ghana, Panama. England's obviously the favorite here. And in the prior World Cup, they made it pretty far in the quarterfinals with a big loss against France. And they are looking good in this group. They should be moving forward with the variety of talent that's on that team. The other teams here, I have to imagine Panama is probably going to be the second team out of that group to move forward. They're usually pretty solid overall as a club, and I don't expect Croatia to go very far. So, yeah, that those would be my picks out of all those different groups at this point. We're still a long ways away from the tournament. Things happen, injuries happen. So it's but at this point, those are kind of my picks to move on from those group stages. And again, we're still waiting for a couple of those groups to be finalized. But that's it for the World Cup, FIFA World Cup draw. Of course, the World Cup's happening this summer from June 11th to July 19th, happening in a variety of cities across the United States, happening in a variety of places in Canada and Europe. So it should be a fun competition, and hopefully everyone gets a chance to view their favorite teams. And if you're even fortunate enough, maybe even get a ticket to go see it live and in person. So that's it for the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, keep pitching out there.